I used to believe happiness was a place you arrived at, a distant, sun-drenched shore you could only reach after navigating the stormiest seas. It took the greatest storm of my life to teach me that happiness wasn't the destination. It was the choice to build a lifeboat, right in the middle of the waves. My name is Elias, and for most of my 70 years, I was a map maker of my own misery, charting courses to destinations I thought would finally grant me peace. A better job, a bigger house, a newer car. I was always chasing the horizon, convinced that the treasure of contentment was buried just over the next hill. And for a long time, I had a co-pilot on my journey. My wife, Clara. She was the sunshine on my cloudy days, the one who could find beauty in a common wildflower and magic in the taste of rain. I didn't realize it then, but she wasn't happy because of our circumstances. Our circumstances were brighter because she chose to be happy. When she passed, the storm I had always feared finally hit, and it didn't just sink my ship. It swallowed the entire ocean. The world after Clara was a grayscale photograph. The vibrant greens of our garden faded to a dull, lifeless gray. The cheerful yellow of our kitchen walls seemed to weep a pale, sickly color. The silence in the house was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, reminding me of the laughter that was no longer there. My days became a ritual of survival, not of living. I would wake up, and the first thing I would notice was the empty space beside me in the bed. That emptiness would follow me to the breakfast table, where I'd only set one plate. It would sit with me in the evenings as I stared at a silent television. I had lost my sunshine, and I chose to live in the perpetual twilight that followed. I nurtured my grief like a rare and precious plant, watering it with memories of what I'd lost, shielding it from any stray beams of light that tried to break through. Friends would call, but I'd let the phone ring. Neighbors would knock, but I'd pretend not to be home. I believed I had no right to happiness anymore. How could I laugh when she couldn't? How could I enjoy a meal when she would never taste one again? My focus was a laser beam, aimed directly at the gaping hole in my life, and in doing so, I was ensuring it would never, ever heal. The change didn't come with a thunderclap or a dramatic revelation. It came on a dusty afternoon, in a quiet corner of the attic. I was sorting through some of Clara's old boxers when my hand brushed against a small leather-bound journal. It was her gardening diary. I sat on the floorboards, motes of dust dancing in the single beam of sunlight from the attic window, and I began to read. Her entries weren't about grand achievements or momentous events. They were about the small, everyday wonders I had so often overlooked. April 12th, one entry read, "The first robin of spring sang outside the window this morning. A perfect, hopeful song. A tiny promise that warmth is returning." Another from a sweltering July day said, "Pulled the first ripe tomato from the vine. It was warm from the sun, and the taste was pure joy. A little miracle from a tiny seed." Page after page, she documented these small moments of happiness. The scent of rain on dry soil, the intricate pattern of a spider's web glistening with dew, the comfort of a hot cup of tea on a cold day. She wasn't ignoring the weeds or the pests or the days the frost came too early. She acknowledged them, but she chose to give her attention, her energy, to the tiny miracles. A thought struck me, so clear and sharp it felt like a physical jolt. Clara's happiness wasn't something that happened to her. It was something she did. It was a practice, a choice. Sitting there, surrounded by the ghosts of my past, I decided to try, just for a day. I made a conscious decision to look for one small thing to be happy about. It was painfully difficult at first. My mind, so well trained in finding flaws and focusing on loss, fought me at every turn. But as I drank my coffee the next morning, I forced myself to stop thinking about the empty chair opposite me and instead focus on the rich aroma, the comforting warmth of the mug in my hands. It was a small thing, almost insignificant, but it was a start. The next day, I noticed the intricate pattern of the frost on the window pane. The day after, it was the kindness in the eyes of the mail carrier who asked how I was doing. I started my own journal, a cheap notebook from the corner store. My first entry was simply, "The coffee was warm today." It felt foolish, but I kept going. Slowly, miraculously, the world began to regain its color. Life, of course, didn't suddenly become easy. A few months into my new practice, a violent windstorm ripped through the town. It tore down the old oak tree in the backyard and flattened most of the garden, the very garden Clara had loved so dearly. The old Elias would have seen this as a final, cruel blow from a merciless universe. He would have seen it as confirmation that life was nothing but a series of losses. But as I stood there, looking at the wreckage, a different thought took root. I felt the sting of sadness. Yes, I mourned the loss of the tree we had planted together. But through the grief, Clara's voice echoed in my mind, whispering a phrase she often used during tough times. "This too shall pass." I looked past the broken branches and saw the sturdy foundation of the greenhouse was still intact. I saw a few resilient rose bushes, stripped of their leaves, but with their roots holding firm. I wasn't looking at an ending. I was looking at a blank canvas. The storm had taken much, but it had also given me a chance to plant something new. It was a powerful lesson. My circumstances hadn't changed, my ability to choose. The storm was a fact. My response to it was a choice. And that is the secret I learned in the quiet winter of my life. Happiness is not the absence of sorrow. It is not a life free from storms or a heart that has never been broken. It is the courageous, conscious choice, made every single day, to seek out the light. It is the discipline of turning your face toward the sun, even when your back is to the shadows. It is the strength to acknowledge the pain without letting it become the entire story. Today my garden is thriving again. It's a mix of Clara's old perennials and the new saplings I planted after the storm. It's a living testament to resilience. Some days are still hard. I still miss her with an ache that takes my breath away. But on those days, I hold on to the warmth of my coffee mug. I listen for the song of the robin, and I remember that my focus is my power. The world will always give you a reason to be sad. Your strength, your peace, your contentment, lies in your unwavering decision to find a reason to be happy. It's a choice you make, not once, but 1,000 times a day, until it becomes the compass that guides you home.